Hello, everyone. I would like to go ahead and start this session. This webinar is hosted by NTID Alumni Relations. So welcome to all of you. It's so nice to see some of your faces at the beginning when you first signed on. If we have time at the end of this session, we'll turn on all our videos and say hello to one another. My name is Lorianne Manco, and I'm the director of the NTID Alumni and Constituent Relations. I work the Office of External Affairs. I'm so thrilled to host this second workshop in this series. Soon I will introduce our guest speaker, but prior to that, I just want to share a few reminders. We need to keep our videos off for the entirety of this webinar. Also, there will be time after the presentation for questions and answers. You can type your questions in the chat box via Zoom, and I will relate them to Sharaine. Again, that will happen at the end of the presentation. If you would like to access the captioning, you can turn that on yourself. You can also adjust the size of the captioning, just so you know. I also want to thank our captionist today. So thank you so much for captioning. We also have 2 interpreters working today who will provide spoken English access, Carolyn Kropp and Nicole Kraus-Dickerson. So thank you as well. With that, I would like to introduce our guest speaker today. Her name is Sharaine Roberts. She's SVP 77. She graduated from the RIT social work program in 1981. She received her MSW from the University of Kansas. She's worked in a variety of nonprofits, post-secondary education, corporate, state agencies. She has a lot of work experience. She has worked from home since 2001. So she has a lot of good information and insights to share with us today. She also received our 1994 Distinguished Alumni Award for her work and recognition for her work as an alumna. She is a member of the NTID Advisory Group and the Foundation Board in the past. She is currently a regional representative for external affairs at NTID. She focuses mostly on the Southwest region of the United States. She's the past president of the ALDA, Association of Late-Deafened Adults, and she lives in New Mexico. She's joining us from New Mexico today. So thank you so much, Sharaine. I now yield the floor to you for your presentation.
Thank you. Good morning, everyone. Welcome. Thank you for being here. I'm in New Mexico, and I'm super happy to be with you. Lorianne mentioned that I've been working from home for the past 19 years. It was by choice that I work from home, but now with the coronavirus, it's upended all of our lives, and many of us are forced to work from home. Our working from home began in March, and we're still at it today. It's been a long few weeks. Many folks expected to work from home for just a short time, but here we are 8 weeks later, and we're all still working from home with no ability to predict when that might end, and we might be able to return to our offices. Last week, both Google and Facebook announced that their employees will be able to continue to work from home until the end of 2020. So that's 6.5 more months for those employees. In addition to that, Amazon is allowing their headquarter employees to continue to work from home. They're planning that until approximately October 2nd or beyond. Microsoft announced that they would allow their employees an option to work from home until the end of October. So whether you're working from home because of the coronavirus or you're working from home because you choose to, I hope that I can give you some tips today to help you in making that a more enjoyable experience. People often think that working from home is very easy, that it's a piece of cake, but really it's not. There are perks. It's nice that you can manage your own schedule. You don't have to report to your desk promptly at 8. You can report to work when you're ready to. But until people really experience what it's like on a daily basis to work from home, they don't realize the many challenges that it comes with. Over the past 19 years, I've worked from home, and I wanted to share with you some of the perks and challenges that I've experienced, so that those of you who are newer to working from home can benefit from my experience. I asked a number of people what they thought some of the perks were, and I'll show you on the coming slide what their responses were. There are no long commutes to the office. Some of you drove hours to and from work on a daily basis. Imagine a 2-hour commute every day that no longer occurs. Imagine having an 1.5-hour commute each direction, and now that no longer occurs. So people are enjoying working from home for that reason alone. But there are other perks that people enjoy. They can sleep in. They don't have to get up quite so early. They have more quality time with their families. They can wear whatever clothing they want. And remember that one because I have a few things to say about that a little later. You have flexible hours. For example, my brother's working from home right now. His wife will work in the morning for a few hours. She'll take a break. They'll go together to bike ride in the mountains, and then she completes her day in the afternoon when she gets home. So even though she's putting in longer than an 8-hour day, she's able to enjoy a break in the middle of it. Also, people are appreciating that they're saving money on gas. That used to mean something when gas was $3 or more per gallon, but now the price of gas has plummeted and it's very cheap. So we're saving some money still, but not as much as we were in the recent past. Here are some of the challenges on the next slide that people perceive and experience while working from home. It's difficult to have a separation between your work and home environment. Those lines blur a little bit. Not everyone has a separate room that they can utilize as office space. Some people aren't moving around enough. Others feel they're distracted. Some people say they have a difficult time prioritizing their work. Staying motivated and on top of your to-do list is challenging. Even when you can prioritize the things that need to get done, it's difficult if you're working in the same room that you sleep in, or if you're working at the dining room table, and you're always in the same room of your home, working and living, but never getting a chance to have any separation. It's easy to lose motivation and get into a bit of a slump. Feeling isolated and lonely is another challenge. We've been working from home now for 8 going on 9 weeks. Folks aren't getting out to see family and friends. They don't have an opportunity to see their deaf friends, which is an awfully long time to go without a hug, because you know how much deaf people enjoy our greetings and hugs. Deaf people are very tactile. Seeing and being able to be around people is very important. Limiting our interactions to 2D is challenging. Even though we have Zoom and Facebook and Skype and Google Meetings and many, many platforms, including video phones, it's not the same as being face-to-face with a person and interacting with them in real life. When you're isolated and you don't have a separation from your work experience, and on top of that, you're not getting out of the house and being able to see your friends, it really does turn your life upside down because it's a drastic change. Many times people say there's no ability or no time to decompress. Even though folks don't mind missing the commute to and from work, when they are on that commute in their car driving home, it gives them a chance to decompress from the day. They've got a chance to think about and digest everything that's occurred during their workday, and it gives them an opportunity to mentally transition to being in a period and in a space when they're with their family. This next one is interesting because it's really a thing. There's fatigue that comes with Zoom and Google and Skype meetings. There's a fatigue that comes with being online. Staring at a screen for many hours at a day is cognitively tiring. Our eyes are tired. We get to a point where we don't want any more technology. We've had enough of it. There are 2 more challenges on the slide that some people have faced, and that is not having the proper hardware or software or even the proper equipment to use, or having a lack of training to use the equipment that's necessary to conduct a virtual work life. I know that most of you have some experience at this point working from home, or you wouldn't be in this webinar today. Maybe there are a few of you who are considering working from home for a longer period of time. And so I'd like to give you some ideas and tips about how to set up your office space, and then I'd like to talk about some other things that you can do. Next slide, please. So my first bit of advice is to choose a room with a door if possible. Hopefully being in a separate room will minimize your distractions. It would be additionally beneficial if you were plugged directly into your router or had a very strong Wi-Fi signal. Good lighting, we all know, is important. And probably the most important is having access to an electrical outlet, because you can't operate your equipment without the proper electrical outlet connection. Many times people feel or realize too late that they're too far from their Wi-Fi or they don't have a plug-in connection. So choose your location wisely. Next slide, please. I'd like to give you some tips on setting up a workstation. Ergonomics is a very important concept to consider, which essentially is ways that you can properly support your body, your back, have proper seating, have the proper desk and equipment around you. So consider having a desk or a table. Consider having an external keyboard for your laptop. It's helpful to have a separate keyboard and mouse to work with. And your keyboard should be set up lower than your desk table. So in this picture, you'll see the second one shows the keyboard is below the height of the desktop. That will allow your arms to be at the proper angle and remain relaxed. If your keyboard is at the proper height, it will reduce and minimize the stress on your hands, forearms, and shoulders. In theory, that would prevent carpal tunnel syndrome and other aches and pains that could arise from having improper ergonomics. I can't imagine looking at a laptop screen all day because they're small, so having a larger separate monitor is very helpful. It would need to be connected to your laptop, but it's a way that you can share a screen with your laptop and be able to look at 2 documents simultaneously while you're conducting meetings, which is very helpful. When you set up your monitor, make sure that you set it up at eye height. You don't want to be looking up and you don't want to be looking down because that will put more strain and tension on your neck and shoulders. The average weight of the human head is about 10 pounds. And so every angle that you tilt it up or down is additional strain on your neck and back. If you don't have the proper chair, if it's wobbly or not the right height, you're doing more damage and strain to your body. Probably one of the worst places to sit all day working from home is on your bed. So try not to do it if you can avoid that. It's really not good for your body. The solution would be these 2 possible ideas. Buy or borrow from work, if your company will allow it, a proper chair. It could be the chair from your work office, or it could be something you have in your home. Some employers are allowing employees to take their chairs from their work offices and borrow them to utilize in their home offices. They probably wouldn't appreciate it if you take it without returning it, so be sure to check with your employer. The other option you have is to set up a standing workstation, which is the 3rd picture in the slide. If you have any back problems or pains, they say that sitting too long will exacerbate that. And so making sure you have opportunities to stand and sit throughout the day is most beneficial. The last point you'll see is lamps or lighting, and this is very important as well. You have to have good lighting for video. If your lighting is behind you, it will silhouette your face. People won't be able to see you, and that would be difficult to communicate. So the lighting has to be in front of you and at an adequate brightness. Next slide, please. It's important to maintain a daily routine and have a daily schedule. If you randomly show up to your home office to work, that's going to lead to some poor results and productivity. So start the day with a routine. Get up at the same time every day, Monday through Friday, if that's your traditional work week. Get dressed for work as if you were going to your external office. You don't want to dress in PJs or sweats every day. You don't want to wear just a ball cap. You want to dress as if you were going to work. That puts you in the proper frame of mind to be productive. Comb your hair, put your makeup on if you typically use makeup. Eat breakfast every morning. There are some people who like to skip breakfast, but really research shows that eating a good breakfast in the morning gives you energy. And it helps maintain your cognitive function and ability to concentrate. It's most helpful if you have something with protein. That will help you maintain a stable level of energy and minimize those morning crashes or cravings for something sweet. Nobody wants to have a crash 2 hours after having something to eat in the morning while you're trying to be productive. And don't forget your coffee, tea, or Coke, or whatever drink that you have in the morning. Some people like pop in the morning. It wouldn't be my preference. I'm a coffee drinker. But make sure that whatever you need to have as your morning ritual, you shop for it on a regular basis. Have it in the house so that you can simply go to the kitchen and get it when you need it throughout your workday. It's important to exercise. You can do that before work, during a lunch break, or after work. I tend to get up in the morning and exercise right away. That's my personal routine. I exercise at home, and then in the afternoon, I walk my dog for 2 miles. It's very hot in New Mexico, and so sometimes I get up even earlier and do my morning exercise routine and walk my dog before it gets hot. By the time noon, lunchtime hits here, I don't want to be outside. It's too warm. But I do want to get that physical activity in the morning because it makes me feel energized and awake. Plus, endorphins make you feel good. Maintain regular hours is another tip. Because if you maintain regular hours, your body will become habitualized to your workday, and you'll be able to predict and be prepared for when you need to work. So schedule a time for work, schedule time for family, and time for yourself. Always include time for yourself. I know it's hard to do, but it's really important. It's important to be organized throughout your day as well. If your office space is in disarray, then you won't be as productive. Honestly, if you've got piles of paperwork surrounding you, you're going to feel more stressed because your environment won't be organized and neat, and you'll be distracted by all of those papers that are needing your attention. So keep a clean, organized workspace for productivity. Expect distractions as well. They're a normal part of the day. I guarantee you that at any point during the day, every day, you'll experience some kind of distraction. Maybe your kids need attention, or the dog needs to go outside, or the cat wants to curl up into your lap and get attention while you're trying to work or type. It can be problematic. It's cute, but problematic. You can have delivery people come to your door during the day and ring the doorbell, UPS or FedEx or the post office. So, you know that distractions will be a normal part of the day, just accept them as such. Just as you would have normal distractions if you were in your regular work office. People would come by your office door to chat for a while. They might interrupt what you're doing to ask you a question. Some emergency might arise, or maybe something like a ballet recital for your daughter where you need to leave work and come back. Those are normal distractions too. So just accept that they'll occur throughout your day and work accordingly. It's important to schedule breaks. However long you need them to be, every hour, get up and stretch, maybe do some yoga poses. whatever kind of exercise, even if it's just getting up and walking around for a while. Don't work for 8 hours straight. Don't even work for 4 hours straight. I remember when I was much younger, I would work for long periods of time, sometimes 8 hours, uninterrupted. And I thought I would impress my boss, but I didn't realize that working for such an extended time really wasn't beneficial. I became tired. I wasn't thinking as clearly. I needed to take a break and recharge. If you don't take proper breaks, you won't be as productive. Another tip is to eat lunch. Leave your home office to go eat lunch, whether it's for a half hour or a full hour. Take your break. Maybe eat outside on your patio if you happen to be in a good weather area. Maybe you can go out for a walk during your lunch break. Whatever it is that you need to do, make sure that you take a break and get out of your home office if you can. Sometimes it can be challenging if you need to stay home for a particular work reason, but if you can have some flexibility without those restrictions, take every opportunity you can to get out of your home office and even out of your house. It's important to establish some rules and boundaries with the people you live with, whether it's your spouse or your children or roommates. If you have particular meetings during the day, it's important that you're not interrupted by those people. If they need something from you, they need to either ask you before or wait until after your meeting is done. One other thing about that with regard to animals or pets in your home, I learned that I needed to put my dogs in the kennel while I was working during meetings. That way they knew they couldn't interrupt me, they couldn't need to go out or come into my office space. And when I was done with a particular meeting, I let them out of their kennels. But I needed a way to set up a boundary so that they couldn't interfere with my work meetings. And finally, end your day with a routine. It's important to do something to bring closure to your workday. Maybe it's something as simple as closing your laptop or making your next day's to-do list. Maybe you want to go for a walk or even go for a drive. Something that gives your body and mind a sense of, my workday is over and now we're shifting into family time and home life time. Next slide, please. I did a lot of research, read a number of articles when I began working from home. And one theme that continued to emerge no matter what I read was to communicate, even overly communicate. It's really very important to stay in communication because people need to know you're there. Show up for a video meeting and show your presence. Don't sit back silently and don't participate. Make sure you show up, show your face, let people know that you're present and engaged with the meeting. Let them know the things that you're working on. Remember that you can use a number of ways to communicate via email, text messaging, or video. Even instant messaging is an option. Here we have a chat function that we utilize in Zoom, which is another way to communicate. Utilize all of those methods to clearly communicate with the people you work with. Let them know your schedule and availability. Keep them informed of the things and tasks that you're working on, and let them know when you complete those tasks. And I know it seems a rather simple thing, but it really is critical. Because when you're not in a shared office space with your coworkers, you can't see what's going on. And when you're a member of a team, it's important that you communicate with the team. So keep in touch with your coworkers. Keep in touch with those individuals even outside of your company who are important to your field and discipline. Do so in the number of ways I've mentioned. And schedule time to talk with your coworkers. Like I mentioned before, if we were in our offices, people would stop by and have little conversations throughout the day. So set up time for those casual conversations from your home office. Make it a part of your schedule to have Zoom or video or whatever type of face-to-face communication you can set up virtually. Minimally do that once a week with at least a few of your coworkers. If you have a team of 20 people that you typically work with, I don't know if you'd want to have 20 hours of Zoom conversations in a week. I'm not recommending that, but keep in touch with a few of the people as regularly as you can to stay in contact with one another and maintain those important work relationships. Those types of connections really help minimize any feelings of isolation and loneliness that you may experience. I'd like to add one thing. I've seen it happen to peers and friends, and it's the last point on the slide, and that's to keep a positive attitude. If people are very negative, writing negative comments, writing negative emails, they're difficult to be around. You've got meetings and communications where you need to keep a positive attitude. You need to maintain your professional collegiality. And in the end, it's very helpful to you as well. Next slide, please. Find 3 positives in each day. Now you can find more than 3 if possible, but minimally find 3 positive things that happen every day. Don't be too hard on yourself. Recognize your accomplishments for that day. Share your accomplishments with the people in your life. And look for the goodness in other people. Don't look for the negative. Focus on the positive instead. Here in America, currently there are at least 20 million people out of work since March. Many people are unemployed. Many people are waiting in long lines for food distribution. If you have a job and you're able to work from home, find ways to be grateful for that, because it truly is a blessing in these difficult times. And remember that there are better days ahead, and that we will get through these coronavirus isolation times. It's not easy, but if we work together, we will get through this, and better days are ahead of us. I'd like to thank you all for joining me today, and I'd like to turn it over to accept questions from our participants. Lorianne will be texting questions, and then I'll be signing them back so that everyone can see them.
The first question I received is, how do you prevent that feeling of isolation? Well, as I said, it's really important to set up regular meetings with your coworkers. Go walking when you're able to. Some cities are more strict right now about being out in public, but get out of the house if you're able, even if you can just get into the backyard. See your neighbors from a distance and try to communicate with them. Keep in touch with your family and friends via video platforms. That's the best way that you can combat loneliness and isolation right now. If you can go to a place and remain safely distant from them, you can't hug them, but you can see them in person. And that may help some to alleviate those feelings of isolation. How do you keep a morning routine? Again, it's so important to get up at a regular time. If you have animals, feed the animals, make the coffee, take a shower. For myself, I get up, exercise, walk the dogs, then I take a shower and get dressed for work. I schedule my meetings, I complete tasks as I need to. Experiences of anxiety. To be honest, I experience it as well. I think that's a part of what's going on right now in this pandemic. We're all feeling very unmoored. This is not a normal situation for any of us. Some people are saying it's hard to exercise. I have a solution for you. I found a 7-minute exercise video on my phone. There's an app, you can find it on that. I have an iPhone and I found it in the app store. It's a 7-minute video and you just follow along and it changes every day. It's very visual and you follow the pictures. So I follow that for getting in a little bit of exercise every day. I think I found it via the New York Times. It's just a very small amount of time to get the best benefit possible. There are several workout videos, and I encourage you to search through them and see what you like. There's usually a one-time fee of maybe $5. They're very inexpensive. If you don't have a dog, I encourage you to get one because it forces you to get outside and walk and take care of that animal. How do I explain Zoom fatigue and eye strain to coworkers who don't understand? It may surprise you, but even hearing people experience Zoom fatigue and eye strain, they're not used to staring at their computers all day either. Many hearing people are just accustomed to using the phone. They get information auditorily. So if you can find articles or stories about it, it helps. And also remind them that your eyes are used for everything. Hearing people have the luxury of using their hearing. So I tend to schedule my meetings with purposeful breaks in between. I think I remember someone saying wanting to schedule a meeting that was going to be all day without a break, save only for lunch. And I had to stand up for myself. Said I would not be able to function appropriately without a break every hour in that instance. How frequently should you take breaks from Zoom? I strongly encourage you take a break every hour. So when you schedule meetings, suppose, just as an example, you have a 1-hour meeting coming up. Instead, limit it to 50 minutes. That last 10 minutes, you disengage from the computer and take a break. Then your next meeting can start that next hour, again with another 10-minute break afterwards. If it's a short meeting, perhaps 30 minutes, maybe schedule it for 20 minutes or 25 minutes. Then you have a 5-minute time to relax and disengage. It's important to let your mind and your eyes and your body relax. You will be tired at the end of the day. If you don't take those breaks, your your sense of being exhausted will just be worse. How do you handle ASL interpreters in a Zoom meeting with hearing people? My personal experience, when we have meetings, we have an interpreter join us. Some of the people I work with sign, some prefer to communicate via spoken English. And if they use sign language, the interpreter provides spoken English. And so they communicate, they help my access to communication. It helps if you pin the interpreter on the screen so their picture is always the largest. You can also set up looking at the speaker and the interpreter, which helps with communication with mixed hearing and deaf groups. Related to equipment, another question. Does your company provide your equipment or do you purchase it yourself, and are there any tips? In my experience, it depends. I worked for a company and worked from home. I provided my desk and my chair, but the company provided me with a laptop and essentially provided me with an external monitor and a printer. That was very nice. Another place I worked, when I changed jobs, I gave back the laptop and the external monitor. I bought myself my own printer. Now I'm working for another organization, and they provided me with a printer and a laptop. So I have a laptop for my personal use and a laptop for work use. Honestly, if you work for a company today, don't be afraid to ask for something that you need. Every article that I've read has said that you should not be afraid as an employee to ask your employer for what you need to accomplish your work successfully. What is my favorite part of working from home? Being with my animals, and now my husband is working from home, so it's nice to have him here as well. But I have to tell you, I'm sort of an introvert extrovert mix. Sometimes working from home gets really lonely, and I'm so thankful that we have Zoom and VP because I can see people using visual language. Otherwise, it's just me here, and it does get lonely, and that's tough. But I really do enjoy being with my animals, and I'm able to do what I need to do on my own schedule. I'm just reading through more questions. Does anyone I know an expert at Zoom? I think that's what most people are using today. People at NTID RIT, alumni often ask for help and ideas. They can be a resource for us. Some people are really good at using computers and figuring out these different platforms. Some people might work at Sprint or AT&T. You can go ahead and ask me. I can help when I can. If you want more information, you can email me after this webinar, and I'm happy to send information and help to you. I'm very lucky I work for RIT NTID now. I contact Patrick a lot when I need help. I think one day it was maybe 4 hours of trying to solve a problem, and we did it all via text. It's really helpful to access people who are technologically experienced. I'm no expert, but NTID has been very helpful. I had an issue with a laptop that was my personal, or that was a work laptop. I brought it to Best Buy to try to get some help, and they were unable to help me because the laptop was property of the company. So reach out to the IT people within your company. This question is about headsets that Bluetooth connect to hearing aids or implants. I don't have experience with that, but I know of a couple people who do, including someone on the NTID advisory group who is a deaf audiologist. Her name is Tina Childress. I'll say it again, Tina Childress. She has her PhD in audiology, and she is so savvy on technology. I can connect you with her, and she can give you some more information and materials that will be helpful for Bluetooth connection to external devices. If you have more questions, please do send them in, and I can respond to them as time allows. Let's see. I think that was the last of the questions. So maybe I should turn it over to Lorianne now. Thank you so much. I've enjoyed talking with all of you. Could we switch over to Lorianne? Oh, there she is. Thank you so much, Sharaine. I see more comments coming in the chat. Thank you for sharing that valuable information and sharing information with one another. I noticed some topics or themes that have come up. We can go ahead and do some research and find the information, pass it on to Sharaine, or pass it on to you directly. I can see who's asking the questions, and I will be sure to send that information to you after this webinar has wrapped up. I appreciate your patience during the question and answer time. I really enjoyed this presentation. I want to thank Sharaine for giving us help on thinking about how best to work from home. A lot of things came up that I've never thought about. And other things, you know, I have the similar experiences, struggling with isolation, struggling with the technology sometimes, not knowing what I'm doing. This past eight weeks has been quite an experience, and Sharaine has been doing this for 19 years. I just want to remind everyone, the webinar will be posted online. We're still figuring out where to have it hosted, but when it does get posted online, it will be available and you will receive information as to how to access it. I'll send out an email with the link. We expect to have several more webinars. This is just the start of our series. We'll have different interesting topics for alumni and friends of NTID RIT. I really have enjoyed this series so far. I need to mention a couple other things before we wrap up. Make sure you watch NTID Alumni Association Facebook page if you're on social media. We do often post regularly on NTIDAA Facebook page. We include announcements, new webinars, cool information that we found. So go ahead and check that out. If you're not on Facebook, that's fine. We typically email our entire community about the next few webinars that are coming up. We'll have one more at the end of this month and also during the month of June. I just want to thank you all again. Thank you, Sharaine. Thank you to the captionist. Seems the captioning was really smooth. If you have any questions or suggestions or feedback on how to handle these webinars, please let us know. And thank you to our interpreters, Carol and Nicole, for your support this entire session.